So, he goes through the divorce and he moves in with us. And that was really when HQ was kind of born, because Big Nick and I we've been doing like remote podcasting and like making clothes and vlogs and whatever. And HQ was kind of just the next like natural progression to that.
Yeah.
And I think it was so much easier because we lived together, because we could like talk about the show, carpool the show.
Yeah.
It was a lot easier to like workshop stuff, because even now, Big Nick remote, sometimes we just like don't talk until Wednesday.
Isn't that crazy?
It is really crazy.
I'm jealous a little bit too. Like there's so many, and you probably know, like you look around, everybody creating podcasts. We're all doing it the same. We're doing it like this. We're doing it on Zoom or whatever, whether we're in the same city and just on the other sides of it, or, like the fact that you can do it in person is like automatically next level, in terms of production, the way it sounds, the way you interact with each other, like the way that you live together outside of it. It all culminates into something that will automatically just take you 5 notches above where you would be otherwise.
Yeah, and that's something that we thought about a lot, like trying to think about like what is our X factor, and we noticed that in January of this year, there was like LA was like supposed to be on lockdown, and we had preemptively been like, okay, well let's take the month off and do it all from home. Viewership was way down. Like nobody gave a shit because I think that the appeal really is like you're just seeing your boys be dumbasses together. And up until pretty recently, there was a world where I was going to move to Japan, and we were talking about like, what does this look like? Like, do people give a shit if we're not in the same room? Do we give a shit if we're not in the same room?
Yeah, that's more important, really. I mean, it has to start there.
But there have been, I feel like the pandemic forced a lot of people to go remote, and I've been so impressed by how people are able to pull off these crazy productions.
Right.
Like Funhouse shoots like whole content videos remotely, like over Discord and Zoom. Like I think that's so cracked. And to me, I was kind of torn, because I was like, I don't want to like lose you guys, because I want to go like do this other thing, but that's not panning out anyway.
Can you talk about what was pulling you to Japan? What was happening?
Yeah, so
it was an Olympics thing, right? Like you were training on the side.
No, so basically, this is the first time I talked about this, and so thankfully it's not to my community, so maybe they'll never know.
All right.
I've been dating this Japanese girl for 2 years ish now, and she was here on a visa. The visa's running up. Basically, she's not working at the place anymore, so she has to go home. And we had a lot of conversations about what's the next plan. Like are we going to get married? And that, I'll tell you what, I could talk about this for forever. The process of dating someone not from your country is fucking insane. Like at least I don't know what it's like in Canada or even in Japan, but America is so far up their own ass about like how you can like if Allie didn't get a green card from her job or become a student or get married, our relationship was tied to this internship.
Right.
Like, and it just feels like so unfair, because we're forced to start talking about marriage and kids, and like we haven't even decided like how we want to set up the living room,
because that all bypasses every, like you get married and then she's good, like she can live here. That's just an automatic sort of like citizenship type of deal. And it's like but it's like we just didn't feel ready to like have these kind of combos, like I'm still trying to find out if I like you. Not really, but and so we basically had to have like a lot of conversations really fast. And one of the conversations was about kids. And do you have kids? I have 2. Yeah. But I've had hard conversations about that as well, about, if we can't have kids, would we adopt? And this is just a quick, very deep story. Early on dating my wife, who later became my wife, I was like, yeah, like I love you. I would adopt. And when we were trying for kids, the first kind of couple go rounds, like, what if this doesn't work? Like, would we adopt? Like we said we would. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to now. Like when it becomes like, it's different.
It's different.
It's totally, totally different, And that was I remember being a very stressful time for me, because going like, this is kind of the thing that breaks up marriages, like you kind of we had the chat, and I said what I said, and I'm like, I don't know if I can So luckily things worked out, but golly, like that. And a good friend of mine just adopted and has a kind of an extreme case too. Like, and it's just like what he and his wife went through for the adoption is like, I think that's kind of why I wasn't sure if I could go through it. So like those are they're very important conversations to have. Yeah. But very deep.
like it was a conversation we needed to have, and it was like a question mark on the relationship, but it was like I felt very frustrated because I was like, dude, I feel like I'm getting robbed right now. Like I want to move into a house with this girl. I want to find out, we don't have a living room down here. I want to find out what it's like to sit on the couch with her and watch TV.
Yeah.
But right now I got to figure out if I want to have a kid. And as I've given you most of my life story now, I kind of just got done.
I doubt most.
Okay, not most, but you got the spark notes. I kind of just got done being a kid, you know? Like
absolutely.
Like I'm 27 now. I met Allie when I was 25.
Yep.
I had just been out of college for a couple of years. Like I wasn't ready to have another kid. Well, to have a kid.
Yeah. Scoop.
And Allie is older than me. She's 32. Yeah. So she's on a different timeline, you know?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
And basically we had to have like a pretty serious conversation about like, we love each other, but we're just getting owned, you know, like we're just getting owned by everything. So, she leaves the end of the month and we decided to call it quits. Sounds so dramatic.
Oh man.
But you know, just to let it be what it is.
Shawn. Oh God.
Yeah. And, but prior to that, before we had like, basically what happened was when we were trying to figure out how the hell to keep her here, we're like, let's just get married. I love you. Fuck it. And then we're like, okay, but what about kids? Like, do you want kids? I don't really want kids. And the thing about me, that this is something I thought about when I was working at Apple. The market leader came around. He was like telling us a story where he was like, look, you don't know what's going to happen in 3 weeks or 3 months or 3 years.
Yep.
And I think about it so much when I say I don't like things or I don't want to do things or whatever, because I don't know, dude. I hated editing videos. I hated it when I was shooting videos, and now I edit full time for Team Liquid.
Yeah.
And I like it, you know, like, so when I say like, I don't want kids, I'm like, I know I definitely don't want kids right now.
Yeah.
But maybe when I'm 32,
this is what I mean. This is you being wise beyond your years, you know, like this is, and I was actually, it's funny, not exactly the same thing at all, but I was just talking about that earlier today on another podcast about how like my first reaction to Skyward Sword HD was like, why would they do that one? Give me something else. Like I didn't like that game, and I just wrapped it up. I'm like, I loved it. Like I had so much fun playing it. So like, I don't know, man. Like what do I know? Like everything I say could be totally different in 38 minutes. Like who knows, dude?
And that's what I'm saying. And that comes with this almost like weird, like, I don't want to say guilt, but like kind of guilt where I'm like, you know, I'm saying I don't want kids, but what if I decide I want kids?
You're just really self-aware. You and I are the same in that way. Very self-aware, but also, I don't know, like, because I used to say the same thing. And then suddenly when like Chelsea came into my life, it was like, well, that's obvious. Like, it sounds so cheesy to say, but like, that's the mother of my kids. Like, that was it. It was just so, I feel like I'm very lucky in that way because it was so clear. You know, I was,
well, and it's also it's tricky for guys, I think.
Yeah,
like I think that society makes women believe that they like need kids, and guys are like, I'm a fucking dude, man. I'm gonna like hang with the bros and have sex with women. So you know, it's just like a kind of different structure, different folks sort of deal. And even my dad, dude, like my dad didn't want kids. Yeah. And then he found out that he had a son, and he was like, hell yeah, this is gonna be the dopest thing in my whole life.
I love that. Yeah.
So, but yeah, ultimately, I feel like I'm talking very like surgically about it, but just because we've spent many a week crying over this decision.
Oh man, no kidding.
Yeah. So but before that, before we had the conversation about do we want kids, and I said no, she said yes. Big explosion, very very sad, very crying. We're like, oh, are we gonna break up? Then I was going through like almost like, you know, now that I look at it, it kind of was like the stages of grief, you know, like I was like, well, what if I just tried a little harder? Like, what if we hung out a little bit longer and I could figure out if I want to have kids, you know? So for a while I was like, fuck it, I'm going to go to Japan. I'm working from remote. I'm editing. Like I can bring my, a Steam Deck's coming out. I'll go to
just
Japan.
Across the river thing.
Yeah.
You know?
And I was like, I'm going to go. And now that Awie's D-Day is coming, so to speak.
Good God.
We're kind of like, is this smart? Like, does this actually make sense for us? Mm-hmm. And we agree the answer is no. But that is why I'm not going to Japan. And the only upside to that is I can still do the HQ cast in person.
There you go. That's how we started to talk about that.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. So it's a lot going on in your life right now, man. So you throw on a little bit of Naruto and then, feeling pretty heavy.
I know. I'm watching Naruto and I'm just crying. Yeah. But it's because they're all doing the friendship stuff. But
I got to get into this. Where are you watching it? And this is the thing. So you got the DVDs or Blu-rays right there? What is that?
I got the Blu-rays.
Oh my God.
So I was watching it. Okay, let me tell you about Naruto. Let's come up for air for a second.
Okay, this is point number 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this is also damn dude. Next thing on my list is Mass Effect. Like one of the first is Naruto and Mass Effect. Because again,
let's go.
One of the first things that I was listening to you guys talk about was you were like Mass Effect. You're like telling Nick all about Mass Effect. Like, you and I need to talk about Mass Effect, dude, a little bit
for real.
But Naruto.
So I started watching on Crunchyroll, and I was torn because the content of the episode was so good, but the visuals were so bad.
Right.
And
just the streaming,
and it's an old show. It's from the 2000s or something. So, or the 90s. I forget.
Yeah, ancient stuff.
It's like, but it's like 480p. On my 4K TV, it looks atrocious. And dude, it's for real. And it was on Twitter, and a coworker of mine posted a TikTok of there's a scene where Kakashi does this thing they do in Japan called kancho, where they put their fingers together and then jam their fingers in your ass. Kind of like, how
just a little tickle.
How in high school you'd credit card somebody, it's like the Japanese version of a credit card.
Yeah.
And, so he posts this clip and it is HD. And I start to realize, what where can I access this incredibly sharp version of Naruto? And I did some research and I found out that they actually have been releasing the Blu-rays every 3 months or so. They release
I love that you're holding physical media right now. This is warming my heart right now, dude.
Okay, but let me tell you the downside to it.
Oh, no.
The downside to it is I play them off my PS5.
Oh, yeah.
And I actually am a big physical media game sicko. I love buying physical games. So I have to decide every night, am I going to watch Naruto or am I going to play Final Fantasy?
Right.
So I actually took a little break from watching Naruto when I was playing Ratchet and Clank, because I was like, I'm not going to take the disc out every time.
Dude, they need a PlayStation 5 with a 5 disc changer. They need a PS5 disc changer. A little carousel or something.
I'm saying, yeah. Don't give me the disc. Don't give me the digital only version. Give me
the other way.
Give me the 5 discs.
How have I never thought of this before? Dude, that was that was my stereo back in the day. I was like, change it to disc 3.
I know, basically doing DJ mixes live on the stereo.
Yeah, dude.
But Naruto is actually is so good, dude. If you, I was talking about this the other day, but Naruto, I really do think is better watched as an adult, because you're able to see the things that these kids are going through the lens of an adult. There's a scene where Rock Lee is trying to catch all these leaves, and he's like, oh, if I catch all these leaves, then Sakura will love me, and if I don't, then she'll never love me. And how many times were you a kid running the mile and you're like, oh, if I do the mile in 6 minutes, Emily Blodgett's gonna have a crush on me, but if I don't, then she'll never love me. I felt so seen in watching that scene, and
until you realize it comes full circle and you realize the reason you were thinking that is because you actually watched that as a kid and it planted the thing in your head.
Well, no, dude, this is my first watch through of Naruto ever. But yeah, it is really, it's just a show about friendship, and it is just so good. Do you watch any anime at all?
See, this is the thing. I'm going to come off as a bit of a poser because this is the whole thing. This is why I do the show. Because no, the short answer is no. But every now and then somebody will come on with a favorite anime of theirs. I'm like, tell me more. There's a good friend of mine, Jace, if he's listening, he's like, you can't watch Naruto if you're not going to watch Totoro or something like that. There's all these other things he's recommended that I've got on the docket. This whole, what Sony just bought Crunchyroll or something like that today, I think. And God knows what that's going to do. I need to. That's a big gap for me. And maybe one of the big positives for me having kids is this is the year for Pokemon for me. Like I'm getting into Pokemon. I missed it when I was a kid. I will surely be getting into Minecraft as my son gets a little older, and maybe my dog. Like my kids are really into it. So yeah, I got a second chance here.
That's
for
sick.
Some of these things,
dude. I think Naruto would be sick, but I do understand the visual gap. Like,
but that's the thing that I don't really have. Like, and that's like, and you're wearing the Persona 4 shirt right now. That was one of my big like on ramps into it, where I'm like, I had a mental block where I'm like, they all kind of look the same, like haha, like cutesy music and whatever. And then I'm like, this game has my whole heart and soul. Like, holy crap! And kind of just opened my mind to all of that stuff. So yeah, it was a bit of a. It's probably cliche to say, but it was sort of not just like Japanese role playing games, but like anime, all the stuff. Like I'm into it, man. I don't have my arms crossed anymore, like maybe I did 10 or 15 years ago.
Well, and I think that it is like, I think like people my age, like you've probably missed like the Toonami era, but Toonami was like, it was the gateway drug, man. Like I was talking to Aoi last night actually about how much, it's little things that you forget. Like, dude, I had a dog when I was a kid named after the wife of the antagonist from Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize that, like, when you're a kid, you don't think about the world, man. Like, I didn't know that was like a Japanese cartoon.
Totally.
It was just on Cartoon Network, So, but when I was a kid, like growing up, I was super into Dragon Ball Z, huge. I had no idea that was like anime. I was like, Goku's just dope, you know? And same thing with things like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! But I had a similar thing to you where when I found out like what anime was and there was like a stigma associated with it, I was like, yeah, whatever. All you guys smell like piss and I don't like anime. Yeah. And then I realized, and then I realized, wait a second, there's actually a lot of stuff that I do like that is secretly anime. I liked Freedom Wars on the Vita.
Nice.
That's anime.
Damn.
I liked Persona 4 Golden.
Dude, no doubt.
That's anime.
Those are the ones. It's actually, that's where like they kind of like sneak attack you. Like Persona is obvious, but it is those other things that are like, Freedom Wars is a great example of that, dude.
Absolutely. Like it's so anime. And there's tons other that I'm sure aren't coming to mind right now. But
well, it was Ian Preschel was the one who got me really into it because I was really enjoying his show that he was doing a while back with A+ Anime. I'm like, I can listen to this. Like, I could really like this is my list. This is what I'll be getting into. I never ended up doing it, but I just like once I started. And also, there's this sort of weird. Like, we're all joking about it. We're not sure if everybody's joking about it. Like, are we really having crushes on these cartoon characters? It's kind of fun to talk about, like, who's best girl kind of thing. Like, that's, it's just fun, Like, it's just kind of, I don't know. Like, Fire Emblem is another, like,
Fire Emblem. Thank you. Fire Emblem. That's what I was thinking of. Yep.
Like, I guess it's anime. Like, absolutely it is. Like, what do you mean?
Dude,
like,
did you play Fire Emblem Awakening?
Yeah, like, I did. I was the one after it was Birthright that I ended up getting really into. Yeah.
Okay, but so same thing in Birthright. Those cutscenes are anime as hell.
Totally.
Like, and actually, that was one of the ones I realized where I was like, oh, I guess I do like anime.
Yeah.
like those cutscenes are so crazy. You want to know what's funny on the subject of, am I too old or am I just not in on it? A big thing that changed for me during the pandemic was K-pop. Like, whenever I remember very specifically working at 100 Thieves, and a lot of like employees at 100 Thieves and the players are Korean. So Blackpink came to LA and like a whole squad went out to see Blackpink. And I remember being like, God, these guys, man, like K-pop for real. And I was actually driving Aoi to Ian's house, funny enough, and the new Blackpink song came on the radio, and I didn't know who it was, and I was like, wait, this song's really good. And Aoi's like, oh, that's Blackpink. And then I was like, oh.
What?
I was like, okay, then I guess I'm just an asshole. Like, let me give it a shot. And I gave it a shot, and it was really good.
Can I tell you the truth? I had the same moment with Backstreet Boys back in whatever, like 1997 or something. I'm like, I like this song in the radio. Like, this is how old it was on the radio. And they're like, that was the Backstreet Boys. I'm like, son of a bitch. Like, I just liked it. It's like I know discovering something I shouldn't really like, but absolutely.
You feel like you got caught. But the K-pop thing was kind of the same thing where it's like, I was like, damn, are all these guys like really obsessed with these girls, or is it just fun to be like, oh, she's the cutest one or whatever, And it was actually through talking with Aoi where like she was like, oh, I love Momo or I love Mina, and I'm like, oh, okay. So it's just like, it's just harmless fun. Granted, in every community, there's like sickos going like sicko mode.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like, oh, it is just kind of nice. But it's really funny because my manager, he'll never listen to this, I'll talk shit, whatever. He runs a really big YouTube channel where he edits stuff and he explains how to edit stuff. And I asked him one day, I was like, oh, have you ever thought about doing a breakdown of K-pop videos? Because as a music video guy with my roots, those videos are nuts, dude. Like the edits they pull off, the stuff that they're shooting, it's like a lot of green screen stuff. And he went, no, lol, I would never do that. And I was like, you're annoying. Like, I get it. I get like hating the K-pop thing, but I'm like, you could at least look at it as like an artwork because you're like the editing guy. But I think that I draw a lot of similarities between that and anime because I kind of had the same journey with both, you know, where I was like, I was a hater until I wasn't.
Yeah. You have enough of those experiences that like you kind of stop closing your mind to things. At least I have anyways, where I'm like, changed my mind about God knows how many things so far. So like, what do I know? Yeah. You know, it's pretty cliche too. Like as you get older, you realize like the more you know, the more you don't know and that kind of stuff, that whole journey. So it's that's definitely been interesting. So I gotta check out Naruto. Damn it. My list, dude. Like you know what the thing is, and I don't know if you guys find this too, but like a lot of what I do is really driven by podcasting. Like it was kind of like one of the reasons I even got into like originally was writing about it, where I'm like, I feel like there maybe should be a point to me spending my time in this way. So I guess I'll write almost like a book report on this video game, and that kind of turned into podcasting everything. So the reason I don't watch as many movies as I'd like to, or watch as many animes, because I don't have a podcast about them right now. It's kind of where I'm at with it. But I feel like if I did,
and you want to know what's funny is that rules. We really treat it like that. Like I was like, I gotta have something to be into this week. Let me watch Naruto.
That's why I'm jealous of the format, about the name, the format, even the fact that like your topics, it's not like topic 1, topic 2. It's like, what's your that rule? Yeah, and I love that.
What I will say, if you want to give it a shot, literally just watch the first episode. This was the challenge that Nick gave to me because I told him, no, I'm not gonna watch Naruto. That shit's way too long. I'm not getting into it. Whatever. And now I'm like obsessed. Like I got a Naruto jersey drying right now. Like. I'm all in. So just
trying right now.
Just watch the first episode.
Laundry status.
Just watch the first episode. It's 22 minutes.
I'm down, man.
I think you'll get hooked.
I like it. Oh man. Well, dude, are you okay for time? Like I do want to, man. I feel like we need like a part 2 on this.
Whatever you want to do, I'm good with.
Okay, we'll do Mass Effect and then we'll have you come back if you're cool with it.
Sounds good.
I want to I feel like the other thing too that I this is a rare sort of chat because I feel like I can just say like Naruto go and then you kind of do your thing and I'm like yeah me too and then I'll do kind of like that's exactly why I wrote these notes down like this. I'm like friendship, let's talk about friendship. And I feel like that's something special, man. That's something that not many people can do that. Like some people need to be like kind of walk down a path or something or maybe we need to arrive there, but you just have like your brain seems to work in this way where you go like, okay, I'm going to access like this part and then just it's a gigantic encyclopedia that we're going to explore a little bit.
Well, you know, it comes from when I worked at the Apple Store because I used to hate how awkward it was in Genius Bar appointments. And I realized that if I just didn't shut the fuck up, then we could get through it.
Yeah.
you know? So I was like, I'll just carry the weight then.
I always wonder that too, like even with podcasting as well. Like for me, it's through podcasting. Although I maybe sell myself a little bit short on that front because I was in sales for a little while. I was serving tables, so like that all kind of like maybe kind of comes
serving
from there.
tables huge.
Yeah,
huge.
Like that's and everybody should do it. Like all those jobs, everybody should probably have it.
I used to be a busboy, so I agree.
Classic. Mass Effect. One of the things, was it you trying to get Nick into it, or were you just like hyped on the Legendary edition?
So this is actually, you know, I say this a lot. Nick and I, like, we're best friends. But we couldn't be more different in some aspects. When I was a kid, I was like fucking junked out on Mass Effect because I had a friend. All of my friends are older than me. Like my friend Bill, who got me into Mass Effect, I think is 32. And
getting up there, holy.
But like when you're 18. Or sorry, when you're 16, like a 21-year-old is a different person. Like me, like a 27-year-old to a 32-year-old, we're the same now, basically. You know, but not when you're a kid. Like that
I think that all the time.
Like that dude was tapped into some different stuff than me, and he just told me like, "Hey, man, this game is cracked. You should check it out." And I played the first one, and I don't really have a ton of memories of it, but I liked it enough to play Mass Effect 2. And Mass Effect 2, I remember going to the midnight release for that game. I got I have a photo of me from whatever 2012, whatever, holding the sealed copy of it.
Yeah.
And that game like changed how I look at video games. Like
as it should.
I was like, I'm like crying over character deaths. I'm like, I'm in love with Garrus. Like how can this be real? and I just remember telling Nick, like, dude, this game, he was like, he wasn't doing it like we were doing it, you know? And he basically he tried to play the trilogy. We got it for like $7, and he played it and he realized that the first game is basically unplayable. Like that game is really bad.
It's pretty rough. Yeah.
And when the Legendary Edition came out, I mean, I'm like jumping for joy because it's my favorite series of all time. And I'm like, dude, you have to play this game. Like I promise you, I didn't even know like how much they fixed the first game. And I was like, I promise you, you're the lore guy. You're going to love the codex.
Yeah.
Like just play the game. And now he's cracked out on it. He played Mass Effect 1. He left no stone unturned. And now he's in Mass Effect 2 and he's like, whoa, like this is a really cool cast of characters. The gunplay is so much better. And I was like, it's crazy to watch him do stuff that I did 10 years ago. Yeah.
Were you ever worried that you were hyping it up too much? Like I get a sense that
yes,
like because that can be a thing, you know, like although like you just talked about Naruto for whatever. And it's like, I'm not worried that it's overly hyped, but like, I mean, you also know each other very well. So, but it means a lot to you. Like you want him to like it. Like there's a lot riding on this.
Yeah. That was really tough. And I don't know. Like I said at the beginning of this episode, I'm pretty good at getting people to see things my way, you know? So I was like, dude, I fucking promise you're going to like it. And there were times where he was like, oh, this thing is really dumb. Like, I didn't remember this. Do you remember that you needed gas in Mass Effect 2?
Yeah.
I completely forgot about the mechanic. And he told me, and I was like, hey, I'm going to keep it real with you. I forgot that existed, and that is stupid.
That is real dumb.
But the game is good. Like, I'm sorry.
So basically, anytime you're in space and you have any vehicle that needs gasoline, like Star Wars 8, it's a stupid thing. It's a stupid thing. Stupid.
You got to go to like, they basically have fuel stations.
They do have fuel stations. Yeah.
Yeah. It was.
But like, those are the things. Dumb. Like the game is so great that you totally overlook it.
Completely
like, whether you're
forgot
in the moment or definitely like as time goes on, you're like, oh damn, what were they thinking? You know, to gamify that, to have some other system built into that, just making travel. It like
arbitrarily long for no reason,
or to like even just be mindful of like wandering around, like you're moving your ship, but you're like I'm mostly just kind of moving around the map.
Yeah, like I'm just moving the cursor.
Right. Yeah, I'm not actually thinking I'm driving.
Yeah, exactly. But no, Mass Effect. I mean, for me, like. I played a lot of different games when I was younger, but Mass Effect was the first one that like it just like cracked. Like Mass Effect was the first game to me where I was like, holy games are different than like movies or TV. Like I was really into Oblivion and Morrowind when I was younger, and like Skyrim. But there was something about the way the story is told in Mass Effect that like it made me like a lifelong gamer, which is so stupid, but I feel like I've been chasing the high of Mass Effect for forever.
Yep.
And I was never able to find it really until Yakuza.
Interesting. Really? Because I just did like maybe the first, I think 10 hours of Like a Dragon. So I'm not really, I'm not quite there yet, but I could, tell me more. I maybe could see where you're going with this, because there's definitely like a lot of storytelling, things like that.
A ton of storytelling. So I haven't played much of Like a Dragon, full transparency. I'm probably in Like a Dragon. I got to, have you been thrown into like the homeless camp?
Not even. Like I got out of jail. Like I don't even know if I'm 10 hours. I might have made that up.
Okay, so shortly after that, you wind up in some like homeless camp, and so I'm like just about where you are. Those games don't get like super good until like 20 hours in, and I hate to be that guy. Like, oh, you gotta watch 2 seasons. Yeah, it's not like you can test this. It's not like the game is bad or it's not like, but there reaches a payoff in those games that is like crazy. So I got really into, once again, Bill, he's like my arbiter of my video game knowledge. He got really into Yakuza Zero, and he played through all of them. And Yakuza Zero, there's just something about the characters. Like Kiryu and Majima, like you just get they're. I have this like affinity for characters that are like bad people in quotes, but but really good hearted, because I feel like that describes like a ton of my friends growing up. Like I have friends who are just like these big gnarly dudes would beat you up at the drop of a hat, but they're like the most like protective, understanding, like loyal people, you know?
Sure.
And it's actually really funny when Red Dead 2 came out. I don't know where you fall on this. A lot of people hated Red Dead 2, and I fucking loved it.
Oh, I wish. I would like to go back to it, but
the pacing of the game sucked, but I really liked Arthur Morgan as a character.
Because I don't even know who he is. Couldn't even tell. Is that the main guy? Like that's where I'm at with it. I was just like,
I totally understand that. The pacing of the game is really bad, but there are scenes where Arthur, I mean, he's a bad dude. Like he's robbing people, he's killing people, and he kind of has this like come to Jesus moment. And I cried playing that game, dude.
I don't want that. Like I want that so badly. And I've heard people discuss that as well. And there's so many other things though. Like I bought that like day one. I was pre-ordering. Like that was one of my like no-brainers. Can't be bad.
Yeah,
and I played them like I just don't like this game. Oh.
Did you even get out of like the snow zone?
No, the snow is not a good time to. And I'm Canadian, like I live that. Like it should be fine. It should be like all right, this is my comfort zone.
I totally understand that, but that character was a massive payoff for me. And same thing with Yakuza. I've played right now 0, 1, and 2, and part of Judgment. And like at the end of every game, I'm just like bawling my eyes out, because this is the theme. We've now found the theme for the episode, guys. There is just this like loyalty in every like Yakuza game, and not even like on some gang loyalty. Like Kiryu is just, and he's not the main character for Like a Dragon, but it's the same kind of deal. You just watch these characters grow and build connections, just like Mass Effect, and you just see the lengths they go through to like keep each other safe and things like that. And at the end of Yakuza 1, Kiryu is like ready to pack it up and go home. He's like, I'm done with this shit. And his friend is like keeping him honest. And he's like, what do you mean? Like you have a lot of responsibility now to like, he like is like in charge of this little girl. And he's like, you have to live for somebody other than you now. And I think about how many times I've been wanting to give up or call it quits, or like, you know, not do this thing. And then Brendan or Bill or Nick or Big Nick is like, has to check me. And they're like, you owe it to yourself to be better than that. You know,
you have such a great group of friends that you have like legit a real life, like set of anime characters around you. And I'm discovering here too, that I think part of what makes that so compelling is because everybody is so principled in it. Sometimes it can maybe come across as like two-dimensional or one-dimensional even in these characters, that like they have their thing and they're going to stick by that. But in the end, like I found that in like Scarlet Nexus as well, where like eventually things kind of like everybody had a bit of a journey at the end. Like I thought you were this, but like son of a gun, there's this other side of you. And that was a payoff enough for me. And I think also the thought that came up as you're talking about this is like, are we also discovering that is Mass Effect an anime in space? Made by Canadians?
Like kinda. Maybe a little bit.
Maybe kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that Mass Effect is, like I said, like the high of just the relationships and the story and like what Shepard goes through. I didn't find anything that hooked me and made me want to know everything about it until Yakuza. And Yakuza was special because I was like, I can go to Japan. Because not only does Yakuza give you like the anime storyline, but it is like the best virtual tourism game of all time.
Yeah.
Like Aoi was really missing Japan a couple months ago, and I booted up Like a Dragon and went first person into a convenience store, and like she almost cried because it's just like 1-to-1, you know? But tell me about your Mass Effect journey.
Well, I feel like 10 years is a pretty, especially at that age, a little different, but very similar in terms of, like, I remember, this makes me feel so old. I saw it in magazines before. Like, when I had my official Xbox magazine, I'm like, games aren't supposed to look this good. And I had heard all about the story, but I actually didn't end up playing it until years afterwards. Because like back in the 360 days, it was a lot of NHL, a lot of Call of Duty, a lot of like just that kind of stuff. And then eventually I kind of got back into like quote unquote real video games, you know? So, and when I did, it was like, oh, first of all, I should also back up to say, I didn't really grow up playing RPGs. So in my mind, like they were too hard. The systems were too complicated. Like I just didn't really understand that you could even beat them. You know, it was always, I would see my neighbor play Final Fantasy. I'm like, well, I'm never going to be able to play that. That makes zero sense to me. Yeah. So it was also like I got the reward of Mass Effect in that it's a masterpiece in and of itself, but I also got to play through a type of game that I didn't think that I was going to be able to play through as well. So, you know, people comment about whether or not the RPG elements are hardcore enough for them or whatever, but like for me, it was perfectly placed. Like I could understand it, but it was still a little bit, you know, it felt deep to me. And then just again, like because it was kind of the first RPG for one of the first RPGs for me was like totally revolutionary, or should have been, in terms of like the dialogue.
The dialogue. Did you play Control, by the way?
I did, yeah.
Doesn't the conversation in Control feel like Mass Effect to you? Like the way that there's like these non sequiturs between conversations, and then you leave and you're like, okay, I gotta go. Like it felt so Mass Effect to me, and I was trying to explain to Nick.
Totally. We're talking, and then too bad it's not a video thing, but we're like, okay, and then I'll just turn this way.
yeah, for real.
Yeah, the looking off screen, and like it seemed like such a knowing nod. Like they could have done it any other way. They could have just like cut away, but it was a choice that somebody made, or groups of people made, that's how they were going to do it. And the flow of the conversation was one of the things that caught me, because I play other games where you're going like a Fallout, or even some of the Elder Scrolls games where it's like two lines where I'm like, I will choose this as my dialogue choice instead of
every time
more of like a gesture or sentiment that you're kind of choosing with Mass Effect, which was a huge piece for me.
Well, and you know what's funny? I forgot, and Nick experienced this, and I got to relive it, how many times you made the wrong sentence. You said the wrong thing in Mass Effect. There's a very particular one early on in Mass Effect 1 where I think they ask you if you want to bring a Krogan along, and the sentence that they say is like, I'm not really sure about it, or something. And he goes, yeah, I don't really know about Krogans or whatever. Like he says something like borderline racist, and you're like, whoa, dude. Like I thought we were like questioning bringing aliens on board.
I may have had Rex killed a couple of times, because I'm like, I didn't mean to choose that. Like what the like, Ashley, what are you doing? Like, we were talking a second ago. What'd you do that for?
We were trying to figure this out.
Like, she just kills him shoots him in the back of the head. That was devastating to me.
Yeah, but that weird little. But I also love that, because it's kind of like gambling. Every time you take it, you're like, I think this is the right thing.
And also, how did you play? Do you play like Paragon, or do you Renegade?
Yeah,
I'm all scarred up. Like I'm a total. I punch reporters in the face. Like everybody's dead. I did
a mixture, like which sucks, because the game like very much does not reward playing that way.
No.
Like I try to do mostly a good guy, but sometimes, dude, like right in Mass Effect 1, you have the opportunity to kill, I forget the guy in the bar, like in the back of the bar, but you basically can make a call where you're like, Rex, it's the guy who was trying to pull a fast one on Tali, and he was like going to sell her off or something.
Oh, yeah.
And you can choose whether or not to kill him. And I was like, yeah, kill him. Like that, because even though that's the Renegade option, that's like the right option to me, you know?
Right.
So yeah, I'm mostly Paragon. You know, I have downstairs I got the collector's edition helmet, which, by the way, if I go back in time, I would not buy. I thought it was going to be a lot more sturdy. It's just plastic, but it has the blue switch and the red switch for the colors in the helmet. I'm blue switch all day, baby.
Yeah, well, you know, helmets are an amazing thing. That like the pack-in helmets. You know, they've had a lot of these, like Master Chief as well, and people have listened to me for a while. When my wife gave birth to our daughter, our second kid, I got her Fallout 76, like the collector's, like the stupid edition thing.
Hell yeah.
With the bag that everybody was mad about.
Yeah.
And came with a power armor helmet that you can put on your head. And we put it on top of our Christmas tree.
Wow.
Like that.
Wait.
Don't like no Santa Claus or Star or Angel or anything. We put a Fallout helmet up there.
I gotta do that this year. You wanna know what's funny? And I just am now realizing, man, you're making me think about games I haven't thought about in so long. I used to play Fable when I was a kid. Talk about Xbox.
Yeah.
And Fable, you never wanted to pick the bad option, because your guy started to grow horns and have like a weird scar on his face. And I think that just subtly influenced me for forever.
Yeah.
Like I just want to pick like the nice guy route because I don't
There was
want
like a stat
character.
I think BioWare put out. There was like, I think like a stupidly small percentage of people pick like the Renegade stuff, which has got to be, I think that's why we don't see a lot of what we like in Mass Effect. Like that you have the choice, like a lot of the things that like that make it special. It seems like not a lot of people really took advantage of it, which sucks because it's like
it sucks because some of the best options are there, but I'm really happy to know that most people are good people.
I guess.
Unlike Sean Capri, I guess.
I just play it out in the video games. I got my vaccine. Like I do things.
I'm telling you my part. Let me be a bad guy here.
Exactly, man. Like I don't do crack cocaine. Very little, black tar heroin. Very, very small amounts. Quick caffeine. I'm trying to do my best, dude.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna be honest, bro. I'm a big save scummer. Like I do a thing. Say save scumming is, right?
No, I don't know what that is.
So save scumming is when you consequence free make a decision because you're just going to reset the game and go back to your save point. And it's like big scumbag energy. I know a lot of people hate it. Dude, I don't want to replay this game to get to the point to see how the decision was going to play out. So I just save and I have the conversation. I'm like, yeah, I didn't really like how that went, and then I go back.
I had a new ending on, not to spoil it, but I had a surprise kind of ending at the end of Mass Effect 1 with Saren, where I didn't realize I could make this happen. Like, it was a very quick ending. I'm like, he's dead? Like, what? And I love that. Like, I definitely wouldn't have wanted to go back to it, and I also didn't know that was an option. So if I'd done, like, quote unquote, the wrong ending, I don't know that I would have gone back to try and get that one, but it just sort of happened. And that might also be some of the magic of just really any RPG. But I also go, that there's a whole conversation about the end of the third one that I go, I don't know that I wanted 40 endings. Like all the paths kind of branched off into like what they truly could have been, like completely different. Like, I don't want to know that I got 1 out of 50 endings and that there's all these other things like that. That's equally dissatisfying to me.
And not only that, like the drama around the Mass Effect 3 endings has never made any sense to me.
Right.
Because like I remember people being so mad, and I get they kind of sold it as like, oh, you can do whatever and whatever.
Sure.
But dude, like
people are mad about puddles now and fruit in Halo and whatever else, right?
Yeah.
Like, that it's kind of making more sense now, if nothing else, sadly enough.
Because gamers can just never be pleased.
Right.
But the Mass Effect thing, I was never mad about it. And thankfully, Nick has not, he knows nothing. He was not tuned in.
Ignorance,
and I'm like, do not look it up. Just be happy that the game exists. Yep. Because at the end of the day, I talked about this before, but when I am like the easiest to please person, really, when it comes to media. Like, I have never gone to a movie except for The Lion King. That movie was very bad. The most recent Lion King, the live action one's horrible. But I'm pretty much just amazed that anything gets created.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? That's awesome.
That's a good place to be.
It's cool. The movie's fine. They made it, so it's good. And that's kind of how I felt about Mass Effect. Like, I was like, yeah, some stuff maybe stinks, but like
But did they mess with what you love? Is there something there with the Lion King? Like, is that the thing?
I just didn't like.
I haven't seen it, so I can't. I don't know. That might be a visual thing that I just can't get over.
Okay, yeah. So I don't
like
really
the talking real animals.
Yes, I don't really like the talking real animals, and I think it's really cool that they got Don Glover and Beyonce and whoever to do it.
Totally.
But you didn't need to. Like I would love to see Beyonce and see Donald Glover. I don't really need to hear them talk about. Like, I think it's really dumb whenever they get like really big voice actors for anything. Big actors to do voice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it's such a waste. Like, I watched actually on the subject of anime, Ponyo, maybe it's a Ghibli movie, and they have Tina Fey is the main voice actress for the mom. And like in Howl's Moving Castle, if you listen to the English version, Howl's Moving Castle, they have Christian Bale as Howl, and I'm like, did you need to though?
Yeah, unnecessary.
Like, did you need to? Because like, it's just, I don't know, whatever. I think the Lion King thing was bad. It was not very.
Maybe they should have had Jonathan Taylor Thomas as grown up Simba.
Dude, I'm saying, or like Troy Baker or something. Like get somebody Get a guy whose job it is to voice act. I don't know.
Good God. Well, Shawn, we're going to have to do this again because we're coming up on close-ish to 2 hours.
I know. I never podcast this long. When we do the HQ cast, 45 minutes, I'm like, okay, let's go, guys.
Me too. That's enough. But there's definitely going to have to be a part 2 and maybe even a part 3.
I'm totally down.
Really enjoyed chatting with you tonight, man.
Yeah, me too.
Super abrupt ending, but do you want to let everybody know where they can find all your stuff? We talked a lot about your content, but where can people go find the stuff?
Best place to find me every week is on twitch.tv/HQ Come listen to That Rules, listen to HQ Cast. If you're feeling a little lonely and need some bros, come hang. If you want to talk to me directly on Twitter, or you maybe want to play some games, whatever, hit me up everywhere. I'm Shawn Thomas. That's SHAWN for all you fake Shawns out there.
Damn.
Shawn Capri.
Fake Shawns. My mom's going to be pissed.
And I think that's it. Twitch, YouTube, the HQ Boys. You can find us everywhere.
Cool, man. Well, thanks again for the chat, the quick chat, just a little just breezy, just a little surface level stuff.
Yeah. I didn't let out any big life secrets during this one.
Sorry, I have to do this, you guys. It pains me a little bit. I have to cancel all future guests for We the GamerCast. Shawn Thomas has to come back every week, dude. That was so awesome. Oh my gosh, I could talk to that guy for hours and hours. This is actually one of the longer episodes. I don't know how that even happened. I usually am pretty good about making sure this thing stays reasonable at the very least. Here we are, damn near 2 hours into the thing, and you're still here. One of the things I love, one of my good friends, Drew Agnew from the House of Mario podcast, which you guys should definitely be checking out. House of Mario podcast is amazing. He does this thing that I'm seeing all these people do great things all around me, and all I want to do is just jack all their great ideas. I just want to steal them. It's such a good idea. What he does at the end of the show is he kind of throws out a silly little hashtag, and he goes drop this silly little hashtag in the Discord just to let us know that you're there. That's so good. I'm not going to do it. I can't do it. I've kind of I've gotten 95% of the way there. All I need to do is say something. I'm not gonna do it. And also everything that Donnie's doing over at PSVG, very, very cool, man. You guys need to be, if you're not already, you need to be checking out play some video games. Very cool stuff there. Shawn Thomas, Shawn Thomas on Twitter. Goodness gracious, that's gonna go down as one of the all-time greats. We start talking about like assist on a head, and where did we go? Man, what a great time. And thanks, Shawn, for not making me feel too terribly old. I'm getting a little ancient. There's no way around it. But man, it was what is this? It's kind of like seeing a younger version of yourself. Maybe, I don't know if that's but also a younger version who's way more accomplished and talented than you were or I was, and not you specific. I mean, I'm getting the tenses and the perspectives all messed up. I'm talking about me. I'm being self-deprecated. I'm not talking about you. I promise you guys. Thank you guys so much for listening. You can subscribe if you haven't already. That would be great. You can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/YumiKapri. I work hard for this stuff, and I would really appreciate your guys' support. And at the very least, if you can't support on patreon.com/YumiKapri, go to youtube.com/YumiKapri if you're not already there right now, because guess what? The show's there. It's in audio form. There's just a picture and audio. But thanks to producer Ryan Turford, I gave him a really good kind of title for the Yumi Capri kind of shindig that we got going on over here, the chief content manager or something. I don't know. I gotta look it up. I put it out somewhere. But the music is ending. That means it's the end of the show. I'm Shawn Capri. Shawn like Connery, Capri like the pants. And I think that's it. That's all the things I want to tell you guys. We do this thing with Jason from Heavy Rain at the end. That's the end of the show. Okay, bye-bye.
Jason! 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 Shawn! 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 Shawn, where are you? Jason! 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 Shawn! 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 Jason! 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 Jason!